Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I'm going to show you the product layout analysis. That is the calculation part for this chapter, chapter 4, layout decisions. So I'm going to apply the assembly line balancing method. And for this purpose, I'm going to use example 7.1 as in your textbook. So please search for example 7.1, that is in chapter 7. Okay, the example here says, task A to I need to be performed by a new product line. The productive time per day is 7 hours. The production schedule requires 35 units of the output to be completed per day by the assembly line. Okay, you can see from the question, you are given a table with 3 columns. The first column says task, that is from A until I. The second column here says task time in minutes. And the last column here says predecessor. So let's see what is meant by each of these columns before we proceed to answering the questions. Okay, the first column is task, is actually the activity or the jobs that need to be performed in order to produce 1 unit of output. Okay, the table here gives you the tasks that need to be performed from A until I. By performing task A until I, then only 1 unit of output can be produced. So, company terpaksa ataupun perlu menyiapkan keseluruhan task from A until I, then barulah 1 unit of output can be produced. So, the second column here says the task time in minutes. It means that every task has its own time. In order to perform task A, for example, 8 minutes are required. So, task A ni memerlukan 8 minit untuk disiapkan. And the third column predecessor here, this is the most important column that you need to understand before answering all the questions. Okay, task A has no predecessor because dash is written here. So it means that in order to perform task A, there is no task before that because predecessor here means task before. Maksud predecessor adalah task sebelum dia. So task A has no predecessor with dash. So it means that task A ni tak memerlukan ataupun tidak mempunyai apa-apa task sebelum dia untuk dilakukan. So in other words, A is the first task to be done. So whenever you see the task with dash as the predecessor, so it means that the task is or are the first task to be done. Okay. Okay. The next task is B. The predecessor for B is A. So it means that in order to perform task B, task A must be done before that. So nak buat task B ni, task A perlu disiapkan dulu sebelum dia. That is the meaning of predecessor. So please make sure you understand the meaning of predecessor very well because it will determine your answers later. Okay, so there are 6 questions to be answered from A until E. Okay, definitely the first question will ask you to draw a precedence diagram. So the precedence diagram here is actually a diagram that shows the sequence of operation. Okay, sequence ni adalah turutan proses. Okay, when you are given a table like this in the question from task A until task I, you are not able to see the sequence. Okay, task A, B, C, D, E and so on, these are not the sequence. From the table, we cannot say that A is the first task, B is the second task in sequence, C is the third in sequence and so on. Okay, we have to transform this table into a precedence diagram first, then we are able to see the sequence of tasks to be performed. Okay, just now I give you an example. I read to you, A has no predecessor, meaning that A is the first task. So it is confirmed that A is the first task to be done. So A will be in the first sequence. What about the task in the second sequence, third sequence and so on? Is it B or is it something else or is it other tasks? So we cannot just say B is in the second sequence. So we have to convert the table into the precedence diagram first. So let's move on to answering the question. That is question A. Draw the precedence diagram of the operation.